really give a stay out the office every day.
I'm your host, Shy Burrell, here with
J Mills, Miss Tay,
Queen V.
Y'all, it's the last episode of season 1 of your girls out of office. Already trying to bring that real to y'all.
Oh,
so
that's crazy.
Exactly. I
That's
know.
really crazy.
Hasn't it been a long journey? Hopefully y'all have been with us through the highs and lows.
It really doesn't feel long, but it feels good.
Yeah, it really does. So for our last episode, we're going to be talking about real friends, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. For those to support you, those to comfort you, those who try to get you through this transition right now.
Right.
So let's just get right into it. How are y'all maintaining your relationships right now with your friends?
Honestly, okay, so being away, obviously I'm far from home, so it's not like I can see them all the time. I would say FaceTime is like my best friend. Y'all know me, I'm always on the phone, I'm always on FaceTime with friends. And also just keeping up through like social media, you know, gassing my friends with a little comment, responding to your Insta story. Like I keep up that way. Group chats really help too with my friends from back home. I mean, with my friends here, I see them all the time. Like, y'all, I see y'all all the time. We be at the functions, we be at the happy hours, at the club, at the kickback.
At the club!
I try to stay away from the phone lately, so I'm all about the functions.
Where?
Absolutely not.
We shout out the
We
mouth.
shall not.
I need to check for that.
Ban them. But I see y'all at the functions, and I feel like friendships are just so important to maintain. And I've lost a lot of friendships because people don't want to maintain. And I really think it's a two-way street.
Yes, for sure.
I think going off of that, the biggest thing really is communication. And I feel like there are different ways that you can communicate. But for me, I really value those personal check-ins with your friends. Like you can have the group chats, you can have the group meets, but oftentimes people are not as responsive in those. Like it could definitely fall off. So I think having those personal phone calls.
Like, I know if you're my close friend, I need to call you at least like once a week.
Really?
I mean, okay, so for me, I'm not a super big communicator, so once a week is pretty good for me. So it's kind of just like, okay, well, I need to see what's going on in your life. Like, girl, how's that issue going? Like, things like that. But then, like, it's kind of, well, I talk to my mom a lot as well, so I can't let that deter me from talking to my friends. And then now that I'm out of a relationship, it's like, well, now I don't have that boyfriend figure to talk to every single day, constantly throughout the day. So my friends, it's just like, okay, I just need to make sure, I already know in my heart that I care about how you're doing.
Right.
I need to make sure that you know how much I care. So when we're talking, it's just like, okay, like I just need to make sure I know like the little things because that's the most important to me and know how you're feeling.
Right.
So
and I think
that's how it goes.
It depends though, because I'm back at what you said where I know I'm not the best communicator. So it depends on your friendships and them knowing your intent. So I have friends, especially like my high school friends that I haven't like talked to one-on-one outside of social media in forever. But anytime we go home, it's always like let's link up, blah, 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 and we're back to where we started. So it depends on, there's definitely friendships where you do need that constant interaction. But for me, those real friendships are ones where I don't necessarily need to do that. Granted, like you still should like attempt that, and you still should personally check in. And I do have friends that I check in with like almost like every other day. Like one of my best friends, one of my best guy friends, we're probably calling each other like every other day. And if he doesn't hear me from a week, he'll just call me like, I didn't even have much to say. I just hadn't heard from you in a while. So it kind of for me depends on the friendships. But in terms of maintaining them, it is that checking in. And even if you don't have nothing to say, just be like, hey, I don't really even have much going on, but just wanted to say what's up.
I think kind of to what I was trying to say earlier is that it's a two-way street in that communication. And I also think it is the type of friendship. But for me, I've seen that oftentimes I feel as though that two-way street wasn't reciprocated. So it's like, you know, I'm constantly reaching out, and I'm not seeing that on your end. So then it makes me start to question, okay, where is this friendship going? Because I'm the one putting in all the effort.
But then just to play devil's advocate, it's kind of just like, I'm not the one that's gonna reach out constantly. When I talk to my friends, I'm just like, woo, this is super inconsistent because y'all know me. But it's just like, okay, so y'all reaching out to me about a story. I'm tired. Like, I've just been talking to people all day at work. Like, sometimes I look at your call and I literally hit ignore. Not because I don't love you, but just
You don't
because
even
I'm
screen it.
tired. I'm tired. I am tired.
Listen, I value communication, but at the end of the day, I feel like it really just depends on a friend. And luckily in my life, I have a lot of friends that, like, if I was to call them tomorrow and I haven't talked to them in months, it's like nothing ever happened.
Right.
Like, we just catch up and we just kick it. And I also think, like, another piece of friendships that's so, you know, vital is just when they hit you up randomly to do random stuff. It doesn't always have to be this premeditated, pre-planned. Those to me are some of the best friends. Because you know, it's just like timing. You know where I'm at, you know what I'm doing, etc.
And that just becomes so much more important because outside of college, like, in college, you were around people your age 24/7. Like, all you had to do was walk out your door and see another 20-year-old or whatever and know, like, what the mood was that night. But here, like, even though we do immerse ourselves in people in the same phase, like, at work, not everybody's like us. So you have to put in that extra effort to meet up with somebody or to figure out what's going on or to put yourself out there or to hit somebody up like, hey, we're both, like, it's Friday and we had a rough week, but let's just go to happy hour. And like you said, that makes the friendships that much more important.
And you know, my thing is like, I'm canceling and I'm not with the whole I'm too busy for you friend. Like, I'm too busy friends. Like,
people really get too busy though.
Oh, I hear you, but I be busy too and you make time for the things.
That's what I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying.
But how busy are you?
But
How busy are you? If I got a presentation, girl, I'm not gonna talk to you within the next 2 days.
Okay, but there's a difference in 2 days and like a whole 2 months. Like, that's what you're talking about, that two-way street of reciprocating that communication.
And it's like, I need to know, like, if I'm really going through something and I need you as a friend and I need your support.
Right. Can I count on you?
Right. I need you to be available.
I think and that's where you get to the middle. Like, in terms of you having a presentation, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But your response should be like, hey, I'm not free this weekend, but I'll make sure I catch up with you on Monday and see how things went. Anything that shows that you were still trying to fit me in somewhere.
But that's kind of just me. It's like my standard tagline. If I see your name pop across my screen when it's my phone and I know it's somebody that I love and like that's my friend, I'm like, hey, yo, what's up? So I'm busy, but like, it's an emergency because I will walk away right now. And so then I'm just like, okay,
so you
like,
just be evaluating.
right? I gotta know. I be like, so do you need me to walk away or not?
Nah, but we all like we all got some friends that you know when they call, you gonna be on the phone for at least 2 hours.
Oh,
I got
I'm probably that friend.
Shoot. I mean, I have those friends where you just like, dang, it's just like, can I call you back?
Right.
No, you ain't gonna call them back until you gotta do that sometimes because I honestly think another thing about friendships, like, you, especially when you leave home, you realize like who's really your friend and like you realize what type of friends, like, who needs more attention than others. Like, I found myself for a long time when I first moved out here, like, I was reaching out to people constantly, like, so I could tell them about how I was doing. They were constantly asking, and like that energy, like you said, wasn't being reciprocated. So I was kind of like, oh, y'all fake. Like, I'm reaching out to y'all, telling y'all about my new life, and like, y'all really fake right now. And then you realize, okay, some people were just busy, and then some people you're just like, oh, okay, like, you were actually fake.
So then how do
seasonal friends.
So then how do you delve into, like, just to go into the next point, like, how do you delve into who's your real friend and how has that pretty much been an impact into you guys' relationship as you've been into a new city, into a new role, into your new young adult life?
That's a great
When I think about a real friend, it's like, okay, we're no longer even in the same place anymore. But when I'm going through, you're there. It's that loyalty. It's that support. It's that still pushing me towards my goals and aspirations, even though you're not seeing me every single day. And we don't have to talk all the time, but it's not like when we do connect again that there's some beef or there's some issue.
I love them, but it's just like, I haven't talked to you for months. Girl, I'm going through something, like, this is what's up. Like, you remember the last thing I told you? Well, this is what happened since then. And like, you're always gonna support me, you're always gonna love me because I know you're my true friend. So it's kind of just like, if there's a lack of communication, there's never a lack of communication. Girl, I might fall off the face of the earth. You know me, I'm iffy. I'm
Your
iffy.
real friends know
Right, my real friends know that I'm iffy. So it's kind of just like, someone that's just like I know is constantly gonna be there for me, unconditional love, no strings attached. That's how I know you're my friend. I don't know you're my real friend until we have history. I don't. These girls be making friends like off of 2 months. I'll be like, girl, I know my best friend since 3 years.
Yeah,
4
but
years,
honestly,
7 years.
I disagree with that because I feel like my real friends is levels. Like I have a lot of real friends for different purposes. Like I have my one friend that if I'm really going through something, I need godly advice, I'm going to you.
Right.
I have my one friend that you've been with me, like we've been girls since elementary school, middle school, like 2 of them that I'm like, I know they've just known my life history. They've seen me go through it all. I have my friends that were in college, like my first friends. I have, my new friends in my new environment.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would consider a lot of them and most of them real friends.
And that's why for me, the friends have different purposes,
Exactly.
different roles.
Yeah.
Which is why for me, like, it's not necessarily a communication thing. There usually has to be some event for us not to be friends. Because if we like connect and we vibe, and then automatically, oh my God, we're friends, girlfriends, whatever, that's cool. And then it has to be a true event for me to completely cut you off. Because I think I'm a true believer of certain people being in your life for certain reasons.
Yep.
So even if we're not close, even if we're just acquaintances, I feel like there's a reason that you're here. And so that doesn't necessarily make you fake, but like it means that you're only there, like I'm not calling you telling you all my business.
Exactly. My real friends are the ones I'm being vulnerable.
Right.
I think there's a discrepancy because I feel like if it's an acquaintance, I just don't even consider them like in my real friend.
That's not my real friend, but like it's like, I might go out with you to a club, maybe.
Right.
But I don't
Why are we
know.
still talking about that?
I'm just saying, like,
I thought we graduated.
Girl, we still going to the club. Girl, I saw you last week. Oh, never mind.
But I think
Anyway,
it's just some friends that I wouldn't even.
It was a day party.
I wouldn't even have communication expectations for them. I don't know. I just think about when my friends, there's layers to them. And you have those ones that, I would say how you say you have friends for different purposes. I consider my real friends like those well-rounded friends. Like I can go to them about multiple.
I would say because then it depends on how you're defining real. Because I think somebody who isn't
I don't even want to say real. It's like
but then it's like, okay.
best. I don't know how to phrase it. Like
we can be not that close and you still be a real ass person.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's like my distinction. Like we can be not that close, but I know that you're gonna be straight up with me.
Yeah.
Even though that you're not my friend that I call immediately when something goes on, I still know that you're real to yourself, you're real to me, and like because of that consistency, I can trust you when I need to.
But then I feel like, okay, so we've been talking a lot about real friends. How do you know when you need to cut a friend off? Because we've been really discussing like the
that
absence of a
event,
great
I feel
friend.
like typically it's some events that have led up to me cutting you off. And one thing I value in friendships, acquaintanceships, best friendships, whatever they are, is loyalty. Loyalty! And if you cross me, I'm like, whew, you just crossed me. And from that point on, it's that level of trust then that's broken. So I've had people cross me in ways where I'm just like, or it's the loyalty, and back to that communication. If I'm constantly reaching out and it's not being reciprocated,
I cut a few.
I would cut that off because it's like, why am I investing my energy into something that I feel like you are not giving me that same energy back?
Honestly, we're in different life stages. To a certain point, like if that continues on for a certain amount of time, we just don't connect anymore. We grew apart. And that's sad.
It's
always sad.
It's a reality. Like you can outgrow your friends.
Yes,
and people, I think a lot of people have a really hard time with that, especially people who stay in like their home cities. I think they have a hard time with like the fact that you can outgrow your friends.
Like
and
you're different. They're different. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's the issue. We want something to be wrong.
Right.
Because I do that all the
That's what I'm
time.
thinking about.
We need that event to be like big.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about.
Trying to talk to her boyfriend.
What I was saying earlier about some friends, it just was communication for a long time. Then we got together and it was like, well,
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
right? We're not the same. Like we can't just click again because it ain't nothing to click about.
Well, Vanessa and I are not Greek. You two are, and I think that brings.
Oh my God. See, girl,
Let's go at it. No, just kidding.
So that's for another day. But
That's not her day. say because sisterhood is always the point.
Exactly. Jules.
Y'all, okay. Anywho, I think that brings like friendships and
Levels.
relationships like to a different level because there's some people where I'm sure, and you guys can speak on this yourselves, where like if you guys met each other on the street, you wouldn't necessarily automatically vibe, but now you guys have a different bond that they are part of your friendships and relationships, whereas we're still like
Yeah, because
we're
like we
different.
weren't in a sorority because so we kind of like made our friends. I'm not gonna say this is gonna sound disrespectful, but I'm gonna just keep it real because we about keeping it real afterwards.
say?
I know.
Let me show you that. Like, what?
Chill.
This is why I handed it off, and I was like,
You can say nah, chill. Because I was gonna say, I'm just being honest, and a lot of my friends are Greek, so I'm not gonna disrespect. What I'm saying is, I was forced to make relationships organically because I was not in a sorority. So I'm saying like I was forced to like go out of my comfort zone and make those relationships organically and not necessarily. For me, I guess the equivalent would be something like my basketball team. Like that was kind of like my version of like.
I think
Cool,
even
we
though
were all going through something at the same time, and that developed into a friendship.
I think just because like you came into something before a purpose doesn't mean you still don't have the opportunity to make organic friendships through.
Oh,
that
that's not
avenue.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
That's not what I'm saying. Let's clarify that real
Okay.
quick. Because I'm not coming for nobody. Okay? I'm not.
Okay,
but I saw in the comments
what do you mean it wasn't organic?
Because obviously y'all were all striving for one thing, which I think is beautiful.
Which honestly, me and
I think
Jamie are sisters. Like, but I mean, like, I love you to death. But
Yeah.
it's not like we were in the same situation.
Yeah, and I think
So-
the difference is that being in a sorority and my line sisters, it's just like we're sisters.
Yeah.
So we're gonna maintain that foundation of our sisterhood. And like the one thing I value about my chapter and the relationships that we have is that if there was any type of issue that could cause a person maybe to not communicate, we always are like, we need to communicate about this because the one thing our value is our sisterhood. So that foundation is always there. I don't have to talk to them every single day, but if I go back to Chapel Hill or if I go to New York, wherever I'm going, I know I can call them and be like, hey, I'm coming into your city. Let's link up. I don't talk to every single one of my line sisters all the time. No, I don't. But it's that foundation of sisterhood and what we were taught. And these are like people I came into something for a purpose with.
Yeah.
And I have a different, like you said, different expectations.
Yeah.
With them, I'm not gonna let certain things go forever that I don't feel like I can come to the table and communicate.
Yeah, and that's
me,
what
I
I'm saying.
feel
It's
like-
a beautiful.
yeah,
No,
go
you
ahead.
say your part because I want to hear your part. But all I was gonna say is, I think that's a beautiful thing. I just want to acknowledge that there's levels of how people make friends. Like Anna and I, we weren't necessarily Greek. We were in a sorority. I don't know why. I mean, it just wasn't on my campus.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I had to meet a bunch of different friends in different environments, which even has an influence on how my friendships are. Because a lot of them are one-off individual, where you have like this collective tribe of friends, and that's a whole different level and a different dynamic
That's a good way
than
to
me
put
just
it.
connecting one-on-one with a whole bunch of different people.
But I'm always good. I'm good in every city I go to.
Yeah.
Because
So-
like when
yeah.
there's a chapter of Delta Sigma Theta,
Yeah.
I am gonna be
It's
good
the
in that
plug,
state.
like-
So
Right,
then
and
hold on. So then it's like, okay, so my line sisters. Yes, I'm always gonna be good with them. Do we fight? Yes. Do we argue? Yes. But it's just like at the end of the day, where it's just like
We're
I know
working
we
through
that. Yes.
we're working through it because it's like we've gone through way worse. So it's kind of just like when people try to be like, oh, okay, like making connections. I just feel like me personally, I feel blessed just being part of like that Greek life because I know I'm always gonna be able to make those connections because we have a common bond because it's like we've gone through some similar like.
And the one thing I
things.
value about being in my sorority is that some of the women that I met through my sisterhood, I would have never met outside of like the organization that I'm in. Friendships I would have never even established. And I think even inside of that sisterhood, it takes work. Just because we are all AKAs, you still have to put in work to develop a friendship just as you would have to in those one-off things.
But you can't say it doesn't take less work because if I already see a Delta, I'm already gonna be like, yo, sis, like, what's up? Like, come on, yo. Like,
So
Yeah, but
You
it's
feel
again those expectations. Like I can see a soror, but it's a difference in like, okay, I established this friendship with like my line sister. That takes
Yeah.
work. That's
but
what
it's
I'm
different
saying.
than a GDI. Like, that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I
Well,
feel
okay, I have
like
a
friendship at the
question. I have a
end of
question
the
for
day
both of y'all.
takes work. Yes.
So do you feel like that has helped you in making new friends in a new city?
I think it offers you an existing network. Because when you come into a new city, there's going to be sorors wherever you go. And so, on top of that, you still have to put yourself out there. Like, they can have the events, they can invite you to places, but you still then have to go. And still, like I said, it takes the work to establish those friendships.
It's just that
but it's already existing.
Right, and that's
We have that commonality
the big
already,
difference is that you already see that commonality, and that's also something that you can see physically without knowing somebody. Like, you can just see a girl at a day party with the same keychain, and you automatically know that you can go up to her.
I'm
and
like,
have
sis.
Right.
So what the fuck is good doing?
And
Where
so,
you
My
lost?
stores do not approach me in that way.
I guess they're not that candid.
I guess not.
So
Into that regard, so it's like, let's just say, so we've had these existing networks, like we've been into college, we've been into like our own, like, you know, like friendships, but let's just say like we're in a new city, we're in a new role. How do y'all go about making new friendships? Because that's the hardest part for me personally.
you just have to be willing to put yourself out there. Because I would say for me, and surprisingly enough, I don't like being out every day of every weekend at every function.
Stop.
No, I'm
This day is social, okay?
I am social.
I'm not even going for it. Like, you be real.
What you
You
mean?
be real
What you
social.
mean? Ask me where I was yesterday. In my house the whole day.
The whole
once,
day.
and
No, I swear to God. I swear.
She
in
was,
my
she
house.
was.
Exactly.
For that one day of the week.
And the other time, Miss Tay be like, yeah, what's going on? Happy hour?
Okay. So where we at?
And that's actually what I end up doing. Not wanting to leave my house, but inviting people over. For real. And that's like the best. So in order to meet people, in order to put yourself out there, like that's part of it, is almost overexerting yourself, making sure that you're in areas where you're interacting with a lot of people. I think especially in a new place, that's important, because like, I mean, for most of us, we're not going to find, and I don't want to be best friends with people at my job, because I want my personal and my work life to be separate.
Yeah.
So at work, I'm not like overexerting myself there to meet people for a personal reason.
Yeah.
So that means like I'm trying to go to places where I know other people like me will be, which means you're at a day party, or you're at somebody's game night, or you're at the happy hour.
I would say for Black professionals in particular, especially at a new city where you don't know anyone, thank God for technology. Because I honestly think like Black group meets, Black group chats, like you really just have to meet people and be okay with getting out of your comfort zone and going to random events.
Yes.
Yes.
Where you go to random events, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a happy hour. It doesn't have to be a club event. It doesn't have to be a kickback. It could literally be church. It could literally be like a paint and sip. It could be like going to a festival, like anything. I feel like you just have to be okay with like taking that first step, and then if not, just getting plugged with people who if you want to hang around other people that look like you, finding those people, even if it means like, hey, how long you been here? How long you been living here?
You can find out about the group meets. Like, I swear to God, I feel like
I mean, honestly, it's a personality thing. Like, to be honest, I'm a very social person. So, like you said, anywhere I go, I'm good. I'm going to find someone, or I'm gonna find someone who knows someone who's gonna connect me to someone.
And we just said work. You don't want to have friends, like you might not want to have all your friends at work, but it could be one person at work that tell you about one group meet, or oh girl, have you heard about this or heard about that? It's literally, it's just that one little connection that can.
And that's why I said you gotta
ways.
put yourself out there, because you really just need that one person to ping you. Like, even for us, like being in group meets today, and we see people adding like, oh, I just met so and so, just adding her to the group so she knows. It's because of those one things. Like, you see another Black person, you're like, oh, are you in the group meet?
You can't have that one person, you can't have that personality, you can't put yourself out there. But I have talked to friends who are in this transition, and they've had that connection, they've had that network, and then they go to those environments, but then they get in environments where there are a lot of clicky people, and it's hard to insert yourself into that, and you still feel like an outsider. So there can be existing networks, but it's very hard when you go to places that maybe aren't big in like a community of people of color, and people have already established that, to insert yourself.
Because we got lucky. We
got so
get lucky.
So that's a big thing, because I know people who are in places that could have that, but it's still like, yeah, I go out, and I talk to people, but it's just like, you know, like it's just a going out friend. It's just a going out friend, and you still want something a little more fruitful than that. Like, even if I have a friend here in Minneapolis, I'm gonna hit her when I go out. I still want to have that person that, hey, just come over, let's watch a movie, let's talk, let's do things that we enjoy together. And
that's why it's so, even though it's difficult, when you do find, even if it's just that one friend, that's when you have to really be diligent about growing that friendship and maintaining that friendship, because that's where it just amplifies. Like, for example, out here, like, we were able to start, you know, like a prayer circle. We were able to start this like YouTube channel, and this is just us growing our friendships, like maintaining them. And it's not easy, right? It takes everyone being accountable, but it's like when you find that one, even if it's one, that can then multiply into like 2, 3, 4, and that's how you really build friendships in a new city.
Right, and I think just how you said, this YouTube channel, this is a testament of coming to a new place and a new transition in life. I didn't know, well, we interned together previously, but still, like, after the internship, we weren't in constant communication, but we had at least had a foundation that when we came back, it was a springboard. And look at us now, like, we have started this brand, we started this YouTube channel. We're really out here inspiring people. People are looking forward to seeing us. When they see us out in the streets, they like, Sharrell, J Mills, Miss Tay, Queen B. Like, they really enjoy that, and that's off of us being in new places, making ourselves vulnerable, opening up our personalities. And it was me just say, hey, y'all have this idea, would y'all be interested? Like, putting yourself out there.
And let's be honest, we wasn't even that close. Like, if I'm being real honest, like, we wasn't even really that close friends. But her getting out of her comfort zone, us all, you know, getting out of our comfort zones, bringing the ideas to the table, it grew.
This was a very fruitful conversation.
Right. I feel like it was really, like, it developed all of us and be able to see, like, different points of view. And so I just want to say thank you all for tuning in to another very fruitful conversation of Out of Office.
Friendships are important, y'all.
Friendships are important.
Thank you for watching this season, watching us grow, watching our people grow.
Exactly.
Yes.
Season 1 was lit. Wait till you see season 2, because we're about to come with that fire. And so we'll bid you adieu until the next time.
Thank you. We will also be going live to do a recap of our first season, why we started OOO, giving you a little bit of background about the host. So stay tuned to our social media for that, and don't forget to subscribe, because we will have more content coming to you in season 2.
We love you.